Hi everyone, this is Kaz here from Learn to Zell, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own embellishments very cheaply, very easily. And these are made with paper clay. And as you see down here, here's some examples of ones I've made already. So these have been painted already and they're totally finished. Here, that's what they look like before they've been painted, after they're dried. And you can see a variety of different kinds that I've done here. Some flowers, some little plaque things, and these are great to put onto your covers of your junk journals or any kind of mixed media art that you do. So we'll just move these away so I can show you how to do this. It's really, really simple. And for not a lot of money either. Embellishments are very expensive to buy, and sometimes not even that greater quality. So why not do them yourself? I use this paper clay. Hold on a minute, I just need to. It's called Creative Paper Clay. It's got the white horse on it. There is another type that looks very similar to this on Amazon, which I haven't tried, so I don't know how good it is. But this one is very good. It's a reasonable price, and I shall link to it in my description box. This stuff dries out really quickly, so you have to be careful once you've opened your packet to keep it. I usually seal it with tape really well and then wrap it in cling film, which is saran wrap in USA terms, just to keep it as moist and, you know, until the next time I need to use it. Right, so just take a piece out. Just going to take a piece out like that and close the packet up again. Right, okay, for the flowers and leaves and wings and things like this, I use these silicone molds, which are readily available anywhere, and you'll find them mainly at cake makers shops or Amazon, Hobbycraft, places like that. Here's the one that I used for the skull. I just did that side of the skull because I didn't want to, you know, I wanted it to lay flat on a book cover or flat on a decoupage box or something that I'm going to use it for later on. So this is what you use. I usually just powder them to keep bits from staying in them and stuff like that. Okay, I've got a load of little tools here. There's an acrylic rolling pin, which I've had for quite some time. I think I got this when I was into Fimo clay. Here's sort of, I don't know what these are. I think I use them for paper quilling or something. I can't remember now. But they're like little burnishing tools. They're very handy. Anything that you've got laying around the house. These are my Pergamano tools. There is something there which you can make nice marks with. Okay, but for this one, I actually want to make these. These are skeleton ribs, and I think this is meant to be sort of like a Victorian skeleton type image of a woman, which is difficult to explain, so I'll just get on with it. Right, so just break off your paper clay. It's quite soft and wet. It's great stuff to work with, and you just press it in. I mean, it's that simple. Just like so. I use a palette knife to just scrape any major excess off. You don't have to be too fussy with this, because when it dries you'll fix up any rough edges. There's lots and lots of different icing moulds out there that you can use that are absolutely perfect for this. There's no oven no putting them in the oven like Fima clay or Sculpey. It's just air dry, and it's paper. It's just fantastic. Great stuff to work with. Right, so we'll put that to one side. I'm not going to make another skull. I think we'll do some small angel wings and a couple of these crosses. They come out really good. You just press it in there. Make sure you press in well so that it gets all the detail of the mould. Whoops. Look, you can see how some of these with a lot of detail you have to take a little bit more time to make sure you press enough of the clay in, all the grooves. And work fairly quickly when you do this, because it becomes awkward to work with when it dries out too much. So that's how we do the moulds, and those crosses will eventually look something like that. Or if you don't want to go down the metallic route, you can decorate them any colour you like. I had some wings here. Oh yeah, and there's, I think I used, no, it must have been that mould made these wings. So we'll just leave them to dry I usually leave them overnight, but what happens when this is drying, because it's paper, and it's quite dense, it takes time to dry all the way through, especially the thicker moulds, like with this skull. So what I did was, after a few hours, when I could pull it out of the mould without it breaking up, I pulled it out and just left it on some wax paper and turned it every few oftens, and every few hours you'll see it goes sort of paler around the edges as it dries, and the center stays dark, and the same on the other side. But as it dries, it goes paler and paler and paler, and you'll see like the damp bit in the middle will eventually go. That one took about 24 hours to dry in a heated room, but these little ones literally overnight, or even quicker than that really. Right, so we'll put that over there. The other thing you can do to get these little plaque type things, I just use a rolling pin, roll it out to the thickness you want. I don't know why this is so, it's not usually this sort of soft. Well, anyway, that's fine. Okay, and for these you can just use cookie cutters or anything that you have laying around. I don't think I used a cutter with these. I just kind of did something like that and curled the edges up like this. Like that. Hold on, I'll just get a stamp out. And this is a rubber stamp, and you can just stamp in there, and that will give you a nice imprint, and you just let that dry. Ready for decorating later. You can make a hole in it there if you wanted to hang it. It's such a fun medium to work with, it really is. Right. Now if you want to use a shape with a cookie cutter, sorry. Using stamps is a great, you can also ink it up, which is another good thing, another good way to do it. So what should we do? Let's see. I've got bigger shaped ones as well. I've got lots and lots of cookie cutters. Where's that stamp gone? You can do anything you like. You're only limited by your own imagination. And if you don't like what you've done, you just re-roll it all out and start again. Whoops. Oh, I've got a really neat little tool there. It makes... You can just experiment with all sorts of things, actually. It really is simple. Now, just put them over here to dry. Painting and decorating them. It works best if you use more of a liquid acrylic. I actually prefer to use acrylic inks, because I just literally like to wash across the shape and then wipe it off so that you get a distressed look. Or if you don't want to wipe it off and you want to keep the full colour, then that's fine. Here's a nice one I done with a sepia ink, and I just put the ink on and wiped it off with a wet wipe, and it got into all the grooves and things there, which gives it some nice depth and definition. And that's exactly what I did with the leaves as well. I mixed up a couple of colours. What you need to do first, when these come out the mould, the edges are quite, you'll see little bits of paper and rough pieces around there. You just get a nail emery board like this and you tidy up the edges. When they come out the mould, some of them are a little bit frayed and things around there. So you do that. These ones I've already done, but it's usually quite sort of like little tiny bits of paper, you'll see. You just use, I've cut this in half, it's about that long. You just use that on the fine side, just to tidy it up and get it ready and prepped. What colour wing shall I do? Blue. First of all, that's something I forgot to say, but I've already done these. First of all, you need to seal them with a clear acrylic medium or a clear gesso, or even a white gesso for a base. But they just need to be sealed because they're very, very porous, being paper, and there's nothing much else to it. So you give it a nice coat of something like that, ready, and you let that dry, ready for putting on your final coat of colour. Let me just have a look for some inks over here. I'm going to try the sepia one actually. Oh, well, that's obviously not working. Sorry, just bear with me. I was going to do blue anyway, wasn't I? Let's try this. This is Glimmer Mist, Tattered Angels. Let's give this a try. I just experiment, really. That one dry there. This one doesn't need wiping. Sometimes if it's a bit thick, I'll just wipe it off so that you get some definition. Let's see if I can show you what I mean. And then the metallic ones, what I do is I use, I'll do a metallic leaf, but I like using this Rub and Buff metallic wax finish. It gives a really good metallic finish. First of all though, I have a darker ink than that. I never use gloves. I know I should do, but I just don't. They get in my way. I'm going to let that dry. You can use a thicker acrylic. I just don't like it. It's not for the kind of work I do. But you can do. There's no hard and fast rules with anything art and craft, as you know. So just experiment and have fun. I'm going to dry off this one and see. I can show you what it looks like when it's waxed. I don't tend to bother too much with the underneath because I usually stick it on a cover or something. But obviously if you weren't going to, then you would see, make sure the back looks just as good as the front. This stuff goes a very long way. You really don't need a lot of it. It smells quite chemically, actually. I'm going to be on the lookout for another one, but this really is the best wax that I've come across for a metallic finish on anything, not just these. If you wanted more of a definition where the veins are and things, then you would just go over it with a bit more dark, either a pen, or I probably would just go over it again with ink and then wipe it off again. But there you go. And this I'd probably do a few more coats, but that's still wet. And there you go, you can end up with some really nice embellishments. There's some flowers. Pansy. And that I've coloured with just normal acrylic gold paint, which I've thinned down a little bit with an acrylic thinner. That is just with a sepia ink and then brushed off. And there we go. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if there's anything you need to know or any questions, just send me a comment or a message and I'll get back to you. I'll link to the materials and some of the molds and things that I've used here in the description box as usual. And if you really like my work, then please subscribe. I'd be over the moon. Thank you. Bye-bye.